Welcome to the Bikini Things podcast, where we talk everything from fitness and mental health to competing and being the best version of ourselves. I'm your host, IFBBPro, Laura Morche, here with my co-host, IFBBPro, Sammy Joe. And we are so happy you're here with us. Let's get started. How are you, Sammy?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How was the show this weekend?
It was so good. So I was in Texas for the Battle of Texas. I had a client competing. She did True Novice and Open. She got 5th in True Novice, and it looked like 13th in Open, which is great. She was like, my only goal was to, or like one of my only goals was to get a medal. So she got the medal, which was really cool. It was so awesome being there with her and just like the traveling aspect was really cool. And then being there, she had her parents there, her boyfriend, a friend of hers. So just like the experience in general was great. The show itself was the longest NPC show I have ever been to in my life. Prejudging literally didn't end until 6 o'clock. Finals, we weren't done until like 11:30 at night.
That's not that bad.
It's not that bad in retrospect, but like I've heard of worse.
Yeah.
But it was
2 years
crazy.
ago, for that show, this show is always huge. It's a really large show. I'm sure there were so many athletes. I had a client 2 years ago do it. She was in Masters Bikini and she didn't get done until about 1 in the morning, like 1:30 in the morning.
That is insane.
Yeah. So
I'm like, they need to cap their registration or
crossovers.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just nuts. And not to mention, like, and I mean this with like the most respect, like this, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but like, I also feel like they were just taking a very long time to judge them. Which, like, I want everybody to be judged fairly, don't get me wrong, but I feel like at the pro level, right, everybody is perfect. But you're looking at flaws. At the national level, a pro card is on the line. So maybe, we're really picking apart. At the NPC level, I feel like sometimes it's a little bit easier to determine who gets 1 through 5, right? You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily like the girls don't need to be flipped back and forth 10 times. They don't need to be in comparisons for 5 minutes. Like, it was just like, they almost couldn't make a decision. And I was like, what are we doing here? Why is this taking so long?
Interesting.
So it was like, this isn't really necessary. Like,
who is the head judge for that show?
I don't recall. When the judges that were backstage were 2 women, but I don't recall who the head judge was. It was like super hectic, but yeah, it was interesting. But overall, great experience. She had a blast. She did absolutely amazing. So super proud of her. So it was just super exciting to actually be there. I haven't been to a client's show in like a year and a half.
No way.
Like a lot of the girls, like my last client was in Colorado and she competed. My last client before that was in Massachusetts. So like I've had girls competing, but they've just been super far. So like I haven't been able to go.
Yeah.
So this was the first one I've been to.
You've been traveling, so that complicates things for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dang. Well, how was the rest of the trip? Did you guys get to experience anything in Texas, or did you just go to the show?
We just went to the show. There is a gym, Absolute Recomp, that we found when we were there back in August. This is the most magical gym I've ever been to in my life. Like, it's just, I could spend hours there. So we did get to go there Saturday morning just because we had so much time. But we literally flew in Friday evening and left Sunday morning. It was just a quick little turnaround trip.
Yeah. I was stalking your Instagram story, so I feel like I was like kind of there with you, but you never know if you're missing things. Yeah, that gym is cool. I've never been there. That's where Chris Psycho is training Andrew before the Texas show this year. Like they were there, I think, for like a week before the show. It looks really cool. So
it is so cool. Chris and I literally, like the first time we were there, like took pictures and videos of everything. We're like, we need to recreate this in Costa Mesa or something like that. Like we need to open another one of these. Like, and then every hour on the hour, they turn off all the lights and put on like these like red overglow lights. and it's literally like a club. It's the coolest thing ever.
No way. I love that.
It's magical.
Love that. Cool. Okay. More reason to get out there. Because that one's in Dallas, right? That's Dallas.
Yeah, like Dallas, Las Colinas.
Yeah, my cousin lives there. So my cousin Kat that I saw over Thanksgiving. I really want to, after seeing that, her boys are like so cute. They're like in that elementary school age and they look more and more like twins. Like one used to have straight hair, one used to have like really curly blonde hair, and they look, so I'm just like, I can tell I'm like missing out on stuff. So I want to go visit them sometime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. How about holiday plans? What are you doing for the holidays?
I actually have family coming in. So my uncle, cousin, and her 2 kids are coming on Wednesday. They're here till Monday. And then my parents come in on Saturday and they're here for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So then we'll probably do like Christmas light shows or, go see that kind of stuff. We're doing Disney on Friday. So I'm really excited for that because I haven't been to Disney in like a year. And yeah, we usually host Christmas at our house. So it's Chris's birthday. So we always do like a little combo.
Yeah. Chris and Mary. Both Christmas birthday.
Yeah, we were literally just talking about that yesterday at our Christmas dinner.
The Christmas dinner. Yeah.
How about you? What do you have?
You guys didn't want to like FaceTime me in as like the stand-in. Just kidding.
We were talking about the Arnold. I'm literally so excited.
You guys should have FaceTimed me.
We should have.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that sounds really fun. So our topic for today is all about navigating.
Wait for the holidays.
What am I doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I like that, there's two of us. I feel like we present different lifestyles, etc., or different episodes. So my family, I don't know, we're kind of odd. So I went and saw my mom's family for Thanksgiving. My dad and my stepmom, I'm not as close to my dad, but usually what happens is he and my stepmom, they go golfing for like a week near Palm Springs. So usually what I do is I'll drive out for like a meal with them, like Christmas Eve or Christmas dinner, like something like that. So we usually do something together. So I need to get in touch with them and see what their plans are, but they pretty much do that like every single year. So at least the last couple. So I just need to coordinate with them, and probably like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I'll like pop over there. The rest of the time, my roommate Rafa, who people probably know because she was in the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, or she used to be a Bikini Olympian. She used to compete under Kimba. She's from Brazil. She can't go home with her visa status and everything. So usually we also just like hang out here, have chill time. It's usually a slower week for me because a lot of people, like I'm not forcing, especially my lifestyle clients or people not in prep to check in that week. It's like, hey, if you want to take a week and just chill, be responsible, but it's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna kill you. So it's usually a more chill week for me, which is kind of nice.
Yay. And you're going to Florida soon, right?
Yeah, next week I'm going to Miami. So one of my best friends, Kaylee, she moved there recently. She's another Bikini pro. You will probably see her on the circuit next year. She always she hasn't been on the circuit in a minute, but pretty much anytime she competed, she almost always placed top 5. She's tall brunette like me. And so it'll be cool to see her. So she just moved for work recently. And then some of the other girls like Masa and Marissa Wu and stuff that live down there, Jody, those are all girls, people I've known for years. So I've been trying to hit them up and coordinate like workouts and things like that. I think I'll be able to get myself into the glute lab, which is like dream come true. Exciting. Literally we met Brett for like 1 minute, 30 seconds maybe, and passing at the Olympia prejudging. And he was like, he and Moss were there and he's like, yeah, come. And I'm like, all right, say less. I'll be there.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So I think I can get myself in there and that'll be really fun. But I've never been to Miami before. So do that. Part of me was considering reaching out to the Fresh and Fit podcast to see if to go on that. I don't know if you ever watched that one, Sammy. It's kind of similar to whatever, but different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That one, they're a bit extreme.
It would be really intense, I think. I think it would be really intense, but I also feel like I can hold my own. Like I'm not.
For sure. I was literally just going to say that.
Yeah. And I feel like my views are also kind of like somewhat middle of the road in terms of the topics they talk about. So I feel like for a conversation or for a podcast, it's not bad. It's not bad to have differing perspectives.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see. We'll see what I do.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be good. So our topic for today, obviously navigating the holidays. This is something we wanted to share. We did this last year as well, but the holidays, they're upon us again. And I think it's always a good idea to talk about because especially for those that are in competing or those that aren't, maybe they're curious or maybe they just want to be fit. It can bring up a lot of emotions. It can bring up a lot of stressors, and it shouldn't have to. Like, the holidays are truly about spending time with your loved ones, having fun, appreciating what you're grateful for. So we wanted to just talk about some of these topics and hopefully provide some actionable tips and things that will help make this season be more fun, less stressful, less food fixated, and all those good things.
Yeah.
Real quick, Sammy, can you hear Frankie whining right now?
No, I heard like something little, but like not anything that I like noticed for real.
If you hear it, just say something.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So why don't we just like jump into it? I don't know if it's better to just talk in general or talk about like specific things on holidays themselves. Sammy, where do you feel like would be a good place to kick it all off?
I feel like let's talk about the season general and like ways to navigate the season, and then we can kind of end with like when you're going to a party or like Christmas Day, things like that, like how to navigate the social event.
For sure. Okay. For sure. Yeah. Do you want to start that off, or I can throw out a couple ideas or anything for the season in general?
So I think like the season in general, a good way to, and this is kind of, I feel like more so for those who are in prep, right? Setting boundaries. So setting boundaries with friends or family. I feel like more so if you're competing or you're in prep, you have to set a boundary. Whereas if you're just trying to be a little bit more mindful, it just comes off as mindfulness, obviously not being super strict. But I think setting boundaries with loved ones is going to be super important. And I feel like those boundaries might have already been set when you started prep, right? Because this isn't necessarily something new. If you're in prep during the holidays, you've probably been in prep for the last couple weeks. So it's just really like talking to your loved ones, like whoever that is, whether that be friends or family, and just flat out being like, listen, I have a goal. I have a time frame. Christmas lands in this time frame. It is important to me to achieve this goal. So I'm going to do what it takes to achieve it. You might not understand it. You might not agree with it, but it's important to me. And I feel like when you are very clear and upfront and you basically just flat out say, this is important to me and I'm going to do what I have to do to achieve it, you almost like, you might get the kind of like gasp, right? And it's not being rude. You're not being intentionally rude or like malicious. It's just setting that boundary. It's important. And that might be a very hard thing to do. I know for me, setting boundaries is hard. It feels like it's confrontational, right? I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, but I also want to get the point across that what I'm doing is important. And I think regardless of whether they understand what it is or what it takes, when you are outright just saying, I don't care what you think, obviously don't say it like that, but I don't care what you think, I'm going to do what I have to do. You're going to get a different level of respect, right? It's not those comments of, oh, it's just one bite, or, oh, I can't believe you're doing this on the holidays. The holidays are about family. Well, family's always going to be there. Family's always going to be there. The holidays are going to happen every single year for years to come. And granted, yeah, the stage is there all the time, but maybe you have a time frame specifically that you're shooting for, right? So I think that's definitely a big one, especially if you're in the thick of prep during the holidays, to kind of navigate.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think also just knowing the scenario, knowing who's going to be there, whether it's like a friend's Christmas party or the actual day or something, celebration with your family, knowing who's going to be there and what to expect is really helpful, because sometimes too, like what's worked well with me is, my mom and my family have seen me do this for so long that I can be really nonchalant about it. Like if I'm just super friendly, I'm just like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Brought my food. I'm going to eat Christmas dinner with you guys. This is what I'm doing. This is what's on my plan for today. And if I just keep it very like kind of light and low key and like, yeah, this, just very, very casual, but also not like using my words in a way where I'm not leaving it open to conversation can really help, because the more we agonize over what we do, I think the more those around us, sorry, Frankie, is like,
I do hear it.
That we agonize over what we're doing. Like, oh my gosh, like I really want to eat with you guys. And you're there with your sad Tupperware of chicken and rice. The more people are going to be like, oh, come on. It's just like one bite. It's just one drink, because they want to like be on your side. Right. And if they see that you don't really want to be on your plan, they're going to encourage you to fall off of it. So it's
100%.
really important that you, whether you're a competitor or not, you just have fitness goals or whatever it may be, that you're expressing things in a way where you're not leaving it open to others' opinions. Right. So just like say it. And I think sometimes if like if your friends or your family, if I can just be kind of lighthearted and just be like, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. They'll leave me alone. So just kind of know, it's almost like knowing your audience, like know who you're talking to, anticipate the questions that you're going to get, maybe think about how you would answer those questions or how you would handle certain scenarios so that you feel prepared going into it, not just like you're blindsided with, people shoving, I don't know, martinis or, Christmas cookies or food or whatever it is in your face.
Yeah. And I think the point that you mentioned is really important to touch on, is throwing that pity party for yourself. It like not throwing that pity party for yourself, because then that is what opens the window, right? Like you have to remember you are the one still that decided to make this choice. You decided to prep through the holidays. Ultimately, right? You could have told your coach, hey, I can compete later in the year, next year, start prep in January. So really keeping that thought in the forefront of your mind of like, I decided to do this. No one's forcing me to do this. So why am I going to sit here and complain about what I'm doing, to leave that door open for people to now coddle, and I hate to say it this way, but like coddle that feeling of like, well, this sucks. Like, I wish I didn't have to do this, or this sucks. I wish I could eat a cookie. Then eat the cookie if you really want it that bad. Yeah. Do you want the cookie or do you want to achieve your goal? Like, and I hate to be so blunt about it, but that is the hard truth. It's when you have self-pity and you are expressing this, or you're sitting at the table miserable because you can't eat the Christmas dinner, remind yourself that you chose this. You chose to have this goal. You chose to have this time frame, etc.
And it's almost like in some ways when you do that, it's almost like you're making yourself a victim. Like 100%. You chose to be in prep. So why are you now like, oh, woe is me. Oh my gosh, I can't eat the, all the Christmas cookies at the party because I'm on prep. Like, chill out. It's you made this choice. And you can always, I mean, I don't necessarily recommend this. I don't recommend this. But if this is what's going to allow you to feel best, say you are that person on prep. Okay, you don't have to go to that party. It's totally okay for you to stay at home, hang out on the couch, and go to bed early if that's what's going to make you feel the best and you just don't want to be there. Like, that's okay too, but you chose to be in prep. So I don't like the idea of creating that like negativity, because it's like, what, you're a victim of your own choice. You chose to do this. So like, why are we all sad? Why are we all dramatic? Like, it is what it is. It'll be okay.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that kind of leads into the next one too, that every social activity or social gathering for Christmas or for the holidays does not have to be food focused. There are so many ways that you can get together with friends and family that don't involve you standing around a kitchen table or a kitchen island that's full of food with a bar to the left of it. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that you can do that aren't food focused.
Yeah. Some examples. I think part of this came from, usually I do a Zoom call with my clients like around this time of year to kind of get them ready, prepared, whatnot. So some examples: ice skating. This is something you can do almost anywhere. Even I know in Austin, Texas, like the Whole Foods puts out an ice skating rink. So you don't even have to be in a cold climate. Here in Irvine, California, we've got an ice skating rink at the Spectrum. So pretty much anywhere in the country you live, there's probably an ice skating rink somewhere, indoor or outdoor. So you can go do that. Not really any food involved. Okay. Maybe there's like hot chocolate after. Okay. Bring a chocolate protein shake. You're doing the same thing as everyone else. Cool. You can go to an actual mall and go Christmas shopping, right? Like how many of us actually go to the mall anymore versus buying online? Go to an indoor outdoor mall, go shop for Christmas presents with your friends or your family members. Like it'll be festive. You'll get lots of steps in. So if you are on prep, it will help you towards your fat loss goal. Or like Sammy, if someone like yourself is reversing, okay, cool. It's still extra steps, extra activity. You can watch Christmas movies at home or go see a Christmas movie in the theater. Bring your own snacks or have like a Diet Coke, that's available to you at the movie theater, or Coke Zero or Diet Pepsi if you're a Pepsi person, right? Like there's really so much you can do that doesn't have to be food focused. I think sometimes we get in this thinking of all or nothing, like, oh, it's either, go to my friend's Christmas cookie party and eat 10 cookies, or I'm, a social outcast and I can't hang out with anyone because I can't eat. And so it's like, no, it's not that extreme. There's shades of gray here, and there are more options than you think you have.
100%. And like bowling, we even made that like a Christmas tradition. It's still a tradition. Yeah. We started it last year. So like now on Christmas Day, we do a very light dinner. We don't do crazy like buffet of food. We do something super light, super simple, and then we all go bowling. Like that was something we did last year. It worked out absolutely perfect. Like granted, I wasn't prepping, so that was fine, but still, like, it's another option. It's something that gets you out of the house. It's something that gets you active and doing things, going to see Christmas lights. My friends, actually, I was traveling this weekend, so I couldn't go, but my friends had a girls' night on Friday night, and everybody went over to the house, and they actually made like the iron-on patch sweatsuits.
Iron-on patch sweatsuits.
So like they got just like a plain sweatsuit, like a crew neck and sweatpants, and then they got iron-on patches and decorated the sweatsuits with the iron-on patches.
Cute.
So that's like another thing. Granted, yes, there's gonna be food there. There's probably gonna be alcohol there, but you can say no. Like it's not food focused, right? Like there's an activity. There's an end goal. There's something to do.
Food. Yeah, you can bring
exactly.
Yeah.
You can eat cucumbers, like, like whatever it is. There's always something to do, and it's definitely, you said it best, like don't fall for that victim mentality. Because it's like, then are you even enjoying what you're doing at that point? Like, is that goal that important if you're just going to victimize yourself the whole time?
Yeah. It's like, do you really enjoy doing this if you're so miserable, following along with your plan? The other thing too that I would mention, and this is just the holiday season in general, so this maybe doesn't apply to those that are in off season, or maybe you're reversing and maybe this would still apply, but talk with your coach too, because my very first prep, Sammy, I started like November 6th or 7th. So I prepped through Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve, my birthday, all the way into my first show. And the cool thing was I was so motivated to just start. Like I'd wanted to compete for 3 years at that point, and I would have done anything, right, to compete and get on stage. But what was really helpful is my coach planned cheat meals for each of those days. Like, I guess my birthday was the only one we didn't, but my birthday is only 2 days from New Year's. So it's kind of like you can't have both. But they gave me a cheat meal or a refeed meal, each of those days. So it made it not so bad. I'm like, okay, if I can go eat a Christmas dinner, if I can go out to a, nice dinner for New Year's Eve, if I can eat Thanksgiving, life is not so bad. It's really not that bad.
Yeah.
So that was my tip, is just like talk to your coach, ask them about these holidays, or maybe you don't really even care that much about the day itself, right? Maybe you don't really care that much about Christmas Day. Maybe it's like Christmas Eve when your family celebrates. Work with them. Hopefully, if they're, someone you have good communication and a relationship with, they'll engage you in that conversation. If they're very militant, you might just be, dieting all the way through, but probably not.
Yeah. And two, it's like, that's another thing, like, yes, it could be an option, but sometimes it's not. So again, it's another thing that it's like, it's not owed to you because it's a holiday. Like, you're not owed a cheat day or a free meal because it's a holiday. but it's also just like remembering what the holidays are about. Like the holidays are about spending time with friends and family, not eating with friends and family. It's the quality time that is spent. So it's like really just getting creative with what you're doing and the activities that you're doing and making those memories, right? So it's like things like how fun, right? Would it be ice skating? Like going out and ice skating. Like, there's just so many more memories that you can make doing an actual activity rather than standing around. And you're probably talking shit on somebody else, right? Like you're talking shit on that family member who didn't show up to the party, or, you're gossiping about this and that. And like, how healthy is that really? Like, let's be honest. So it's like when you're actually spending time with people that you care about, doing an activity, making those memories, that's going to outweigh any meal that you eat or any appetizer that you're snacking on or any gossip and tea that someone's spilling. It's just going to be, it's going to mean more. It's going to be more memorable than.
Yeah. And when you think back on holidays and whatnot, you think back on the memories that you have with your loved ones. You don't remember, oh yeah, we had some really awesome, roast beef or ham or whatever for Christmas dinner. That's all your memories are. Like the lamest foods ever. Like, I'm sorry, I think the holiday ham is like the worst ever. I never liked that. My family never did that, I think. But
that's so funny. We do honey baked ham. It's my absolute favorite.
I'm just not like a big ham person. I think my family we never did much pork and whatnot. So Christmas, I think we would usually do like turkey, or like one year I remember my parents, we'd mix it up. They made like lobsters, right? They're from the East Coast. We just got fresh lobsters and made that. So, but yeah, so the activity, even that, the memory from that childhood year is of us making it. I don't even remember what the dinner tastes like. I'm sure it was good.
Yeah.
Right. But my memories are of like what we actually did together. So I think you're so right, Sammy. And that should be first and foremost in our minds, is the holidays are about the time together and the people. It's not about the food. And just in general, that's always a good one. When you're on prep and you're going out to eat and there's people around you, remember that you're there to spend time and enjoy the time with those around you. It's not really about the food. So if you can hold that thought in your mind, it can help for sure. Why don't we talk about maybe some actionable tips for those that have, say, Friendsgivings, Christmas parties, work Christmas parties, the actual day, New Year's, we want to be inclusive, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, any other holidays this time of year that people have. Like, what are some things there for the events itself, Sammy, that you would recommend people do to navigate that?
I would say first and foremost is going to be, if we're talking about like, if we are engaging in the holiday, like if we're not in prep, is going to be to kind of plan out your day, right? Your day is not just about this activity or event that you're going to. So making sure you're drinking lots of water throughout the day is going to be super important, because that's just going to flush everything through your system, keep your digestion going good. And then also not saving your calories for the meal. I feel like that's the biggest line or thing that we hear, especially around the holidays. Like, if you know you're going to eat a big meal, you just don't eat breakfast. Well, that is going to be like number one trigger for you to binge eat everything in sight, because you're going to be starving. So I would always tell like my clients or just people in general to eat breakfast that morning, like eat a heavy, like protein forward breakfast, especially if you know the party that you're going to is going to, think about it. Most of your plate is going to have sides and appetizers on them. And most of the time, the sides and the appetizers are not going to be very protein forward. So just kind of really eating a protein forward breakfast that maybe has a little less carbs in it, a little less fat, because naturally, picky foods and things like that are going to be higher in carbs and fats. So I'm not saying necessarily tracking your macros that day and weighing everything out, but I'm just really eating a heavier breakfast to keep you satiated throughout the day.
Yeah, I agree completely. I love that expression, protein forward. That's great. And I give similar advice. I usually tell people, eat your normal meals, and that way you're not showing up starving, because you're right, you will overdo it if you show up to that dinner table or that party starving. And it's the same thing as like, it's the same thing. Like, I hate to say this or compare this, but it's like the same thing as when you're drunk and you drive by Taco Bell. You're not making rational decisions anymore. You've let yourself get too hungry. You're going to eat whatever is there, even if you normally wouldn't eat it. So if you eat your normal meals, space the timing out like you normally would, eat the protein. And I usually even tell people like normal meals. So I don't even tell them like, oh, you need to go lighter on carbs, on fats. Like, just eat your regular food, eat some good meals, and then you'll show up and you'll be a lot more in tune with your hunger cues, right? Like, how hungry am I really? How much room do I have for all these different things that are here? Maybe I can't have like this much of everything. Maybe I can have like, this much of all these like gray, beige, brown, white carbs. Like, that's really what it is. Like these dinners and things, it's mostly carbs and stuff. And it's like all beige foods. So just eating your normal meals, you'll have a much better hunger cue when you get there. And also, like, don't be afraid to bring stuff. Like, bring a salad, bring a veggie tray.
Yeah. I feel like that's a good thing too, is like bringing healthier items that, people might not necessarily think about bringing. So it's like bringing something that just like a healthier version of a side, right? You know how you prepared it. And it's not necessarily just like an individual portion of it. It can be a portion that you bring for everybody. But you know how you prepared it. Maybe there's a little less butter in it, or, a little less of all of the extra stuff that people measure with their heart. So it's like having just another contribution, or like a healthier dessert, something like that, I think that's always a great option too.
Sammy, I'm so sorry. I need to get water or something. All my 4 beverage
literally, go ahead.
What else? So there was one other thing I wanted to talk about too. I feel like we should talk about food guilt, Sammy. And this is more of like the mindset behind all of that. And I think this spans beyond competitors, because I think as women, naturally and from our upbringing, we have a lot of hangups about food, and our body is already kind of hardwired into us. And so this is something I want to address. So, for example, what can happen after the holidays? Let's say we go to that Christmas dinner or that party or work party or whatever, and we eat normally or a little more than we would have liked to, right? That happens. I've been there. I've definitely been there. And that first prep, that cheat meal I got on Christmas, Sammy, I ate so much food. Like way more than I should have. But it still worked out okay, but way more than I should have. So I've been there too. And I think the main thing I want to point out is that it's really natural after something like that to want to get on the scale and berate yourself for the number you see. And that is a really counterproductive thing to do. If you're curious and you want to know your weight, okay, cool. Or if you're on prep and you need to weigh yourself, okay, fine. That number is misleading, because remember that if you just took in a lot of carbs and probably a lot of sodium, you're probably retaining, not only have you stored a certain amount of that as glycogen in your muscles and your liver, but you're also likely just retaining some water. If you had a big influx of sodium and a big influx of carbs, you're going to hold water. That doesn't mean that you necessarily gained 5 or 10 pounds. That just might mean that the number is elevated right now. And I think I'd have to go find the citation, but I think when we're well hydrated and we're eating a lot of carbs, you can store, believe you can store as much as 16 to 17 grams of water for each gram of carb that's stored. So think about that. Like, translate that to pounds. So for each pound of carbs you store, you could store 16 to 17 pounds of weight. That's quite a bit, right? So you might not even, go that crazy. Like, that's an expression a lot of us will use. Oh, I didn't even go that crazy. You could still eat very reasonably and still see a big uptick in weight. And the natural reaction to that change in weight is to restrict, right? To be like, oh my gosh, I need to not eat today. I need to, eat no carbs today. I need to go on a diet right now. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I let myself get out of this, this out of control. And that's really it's a bad mindset to have, because so clearly your happiness, your mental peace, your mental emotional well-being is just hanging on the balance of what you see on the scale. And that's really not what it's about. You and I know this because we've been in fitness forever and we've competed, and we know how much of a difference muscle mass, looks on you, affects your weight, etc. So we know the truth. We know that it's totally fine to way more if you look the right way, if you feel the right way, if you're taking care of your body generally. But I think a lot of women don't realize how much their happiness is dependent on that number on the scale.
Yeah. And also how many other factors play into that number on the scale, right? It's not just maybe you got home from your party late and still had to wake up early the next day. You didn't get a full night's sleep. That can also have an effect on the number on this scale. Maybe you had one glass of wine and you have a little bit of inflammation. That can also affect it, or it could affect your quality of sleep, which is going to affect that number. And again, it was just one glass of wine. That's not a big deal. You know what I mean? It was the fact that you had less sleep than your body's used to. So that
your food may not be fully digested, right? You had a short night of sleep, or you ate really close to bed. Your food might not be fully digested.
Literally, I can actually attest to that. Like, we literally had our company party last night. Or not, it wasn't a party, it was dinner. So I had a steak. So I had a high sodium meal. I had one margarita. And I got home, like, I think I got maybe 6 or 7 hours of sleep last night. I woke up and I was like 3 or 4 pounds heavier than what I've been weighing at. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, I have to record that in my check-ins tomorrow. And I'm like, but then I like literally was like telling myself like, okay, you literally ate a fat piece of steak. You haven't eaten much red meat since March. So like, not only is it just the high amount of sodium, obviously I'm reversing. So like my body is still getting used to these foods. Like I'm slowly bringing red meat back into my diet, but there's so many different factors. I didn't get a full night of sleep. Like I had one margarita. Like there's so many different things. So instead of like sitting there and dwelling and being like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that was the number on the scale, I was reminding myself of all of the things that played into why that was a thing. So it's just reminded like the female body is so complicated. So like reminding that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Sammy.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I just wanted to I would love to break down that example from like here's my like inner like nerdy engineer like coming out. Like let me push my glasses up real quick. Let's think about that same meal that you described from a mathematical perspective, Sammy. Like let's actually try to just ballpark estimate those calories. Let's say you had one margarita. Maybe it's a shot and a half of tequila. Maybe a strong margarita would be 2 shots. So even if we round up, let's say it was 200 calories worth of tequila for 2 full shots. And then let's say it's, traditional margarita mix or like a slightly skinny margarita mix. Okay, maybe 100 calories for that mixer. So that's 300 calories right there. How many ounces was the steak that you had? 6 ounces. And was it like a filet? Okay, filet. So it's a leaner cut, right? But there might have been some butter on it. So let's say a 6-ounce filet is what? Maybe like 300-ish calories. And then let's say they add some butter on there. So maybe like, let's round up, let's say 450. Okay, so we have 450 from the steak, which is also full of protein, full of B vitamins, like good things that we want. It's a non-processed food. It probably just has butter on it. And then we had 300 from your margarita. So that's only 750 calories. So let's take a step back. Most of us know 1 pound is 3,500 calories. So to truly gain a pound of weight, you have to be in a 3,500 calorie surplus. So how could it be possible, right? It's not possible. What I'm saying? It's not possible, Sammy, that you gained 4 pounds because to do that, you should have consumed an extra 14,000 calories.
Yeah.
Right? Mathematically. So if we kind of think of it like that, it's a little easier to take a step back, get out of our emotions, get into our rational brain a little bit and think, oh, this isn't my real weight. I don't necessarily need to do a diet. I don't need to starve myself today, but maybe I ate a little too close to bed last night. Maybe I'm full. Maybe I'll wait to have breakfast for another hour or 2 or whatever. Yeah. And I'll move on with my day. Like, and I'm not going to berate myself if I'm feeling a little bloated today, or I'm feeling a little like I'm a little, I'm holding some water because I had a nice cocktail and some food that had salt and butter on it with my with my husband for Christmas party. So that's one thing I want to really encourage women to do and think about, because I think sometimes we can really get swept up on our emotions, and we can do these things that then are self-sabotaging behaviors, like restricting your eating. Okay, like you, Sammy, you're a bikini pro in your off season. You need to be maximizing every meal, every workout, every day, right? If you want to compete and improve in the future. So if your reaction was like, "Oh my gosh, I better not eat today." Okay, you just lost like a day's worth of progress you could have made, right? Because you're starving yourself for no reason.
Yeah. And instead, I woke up and I was like, okay, I have legs. I'm training legs today anyway. So I'm going to put all of that fuel to my pump. I had a great pump at the gym. I told myself, like, okay, I had a really nice meal yesterday. Now I'm just going to stick to my plan. I'm going to get back on track. I'm going to stick to my meals. I'm not going to eat anything off plan today. And I'm just going to go about my day as normal. I did my 30 minutes of cardio. I didn't do a minute over because I felt that I needed to punish myself or work off the extra food. It's just this, it's a Monday. It's back to the same Monday as last Monday was. You know what I mean? So it's especially the cardio thing, like not adding an extra minute to cardio because you're working off the calories.
Yeah, that's a big behavior that I want to really discourage. Please do not feel like you need to punish yourself or restrict yourself for eating, especially when it's something like very reasonable. You know, let's say whether you're on prep or not, or you're a competitor or not, you go and have your normal meals, and then you go have a big meal for Christmas, or you have a big meal for a Christmas party or a work party or whatever. It's one meal, you know, unless you're like binging and manage to get down 14,000 calories, which is like, that's impressive. Like, record that and put that on YouTube. That'll probably get a lot of views. If we ever remember the 10,000 calorie challenges from a few years ago, unless you're doing that, it's just a meal. Like, move on with your day. Try not to get so caught up in your emotions. Like, give yourself some grace. Like you said, Sammy, use that food to have a great workout, shuttle those carbs to maybe the lagging body parts that you want to work on, or whatever your big muscle groups, like your legs or your back. But yeah, that's something I really want to discourage. I really don't think it's necessary. And I think a lot of people, and especially a lot of women, get really hard on themselves for things that are very normal.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, like, one good thing is, say you do have that one big meal, right? And you feel like, whether you feel satiated and, you know, you've controlled your eating as you're eating, right? Maybe taking breaks during your meal, or, you know, having conversation at the dinner table, which causes you to eat a little bit slower, pacing yourself, things like that. Another good thing is going for a walk after that meal, getting some movement in. Like, I know for me, I got home late, so I literally came home and laid down and went to bed and like didn't do much. So that, you know, that was another effective feeling so full. But if I had gone for a walk, if I were to have walked it off, or, you know, taken a walk around the block, it probably would have felt a little bit different when I went to bed. So I think that's another great thing. And I always tell people that too, like, get your family to go for a walk. Like, if you are at, you know, if it's a Friendsgiving or if it's family or whoever, don't go on the walk by yourself. Have people go with you. Like, make it a thing, make it a part of your day, and do something together.
Yeah. Well, and especially for like that holiday meal. I love that you said that, Sammy. That's a great tip, because you're right. Walking after eating is really good for digestion. It's also really good for your metabolism. And so, like, for example, we have that big holiday meal. Most people are not ready for dessert anyways right after dinner. Like, after Thanksgiving, most people are ready to just like lay down and take a nap for a little bit. And so if you go and I'll do a, walk around the neighborhood, go check out the neighbor's Christmas lights, go walk the dog, whatever, even just 10 minutes, like literally just 10 minutes will improve digestion and increase your metabolism. And then you can come back in the house, kind of let your stomach settle, figure out your hunger cues, and decide how much dessert you want to have too. So you're right. I love that tip. That's such a great tip for digestion in general, but especially with these like big celebratory meals. Yeah. I'm trying to think, is there anything else in terms of just the day of or specific tips that have worked for you or things that you feel like people don't know about when it comes to navigating this time?
Doing like breaking up your plate and utilizing the plate method of like having half of your plate be veggies, a quarter of it being carbs and then the other quarter being protein is a good way to like build your plate when you are, going to the buffet of foods, and kind of building your plate out is just really prioritizing like the volume of veggies, and then, prioritizing protein, and then having the carbs there and kind of just enjoying that part too. But that's like a really good, like intuitive way of building out your plate when doing that. Just kind of not being super restrictive, not necessarily counting the macros of it, but just thinking twice about the way you build your plate.
Yeah, I love that. And then I guess we touched on this, but like, what would you do if there's no veggies at the dinner?
I guess just maybe a little bit more protein than a quarter, or just still bring your portion sizes down, the other foods.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if it's like your family or something like that, it's not like a work dinner, whatever. It's like, yeah, be that person who brings a salad. Like if you know that none of your relatives are going to make a salad or prepare a veggie and you want a veggie, like, okay, be that person. Like show up with stuff that maybe other people don't want to eat, but you'll have it for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I feel like we covered this pretty well. Is there anything?
Yeah.
I'm excited for our holidays. Part of me wants to secretly come crash your family's bowling on Christmas if I'm not with my parents.
Oh my God, please do. Literally just come over on Christmas, not just bowling.
Okay. Yeah.
I literally just bought a ham sorry, I know you said you didn't like ham, but
I'll eat it. It's not like my favorite. It's like the, for example, that one I throw out where like my parents made lobster. I would so much rather eat lobster than like a ham.
Yeah.
Or I would even rather eat like chicken, like a chicken breast or turkey, like just the things, some people make turkey for Christmas or whatever. Everyone's different.
Yeah. We just do like little picky appetizers and then, come over.
Okay.
That would be so fun.
It would be fun. So we'll figure it out. But hopefully for the listeners, hopefully this was helpful this time of year. I know it can feel stressful, but it doesn't have to be. It's meant to be about the blessings we have in our life, the people we have in our life, being grateful, new beginnings. So don't forget that, I guess.
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we will catch you guys on next week's episode. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and share the channel. If you're listening on an audio platform, don't forget to rate, review, and give us 5 stars. And as always, share with a friend so the podcast can grow. We appreciate you so much, and we'll catch you in the next episode.